Hi, thank you for coming by to watch our video on employee retention and engagement. My name is Dan Murgon. I'm the president and CEO of Dan Murgon and Associates. I hate waste. We hire people, they don't perform, they leave, it costs us money. That's what this video is about, how to understand it and deal with it. We're going to touch on three things today: the science behind why they leave, the financial impact to us when they stop performing and we have to replace them, and then two solutions that we use currently with our clients to help them turn this around. So let's get after it, okay? As we begin, let's define retention as the ability to keep the right employees and lose the losers. And let's define engagement as the employees are giving us the performance that we're paying for with a good attitude. The difficulty is going to be that only about 30% of the people working today could fit that definition. So there's a problem. Our job as leaders in driving profitable growth is to hire and lead people in such a way that they stay and perform at a high level. Having employees that want to stay requires that we look at our companies in two separate categories. The first is SMART. These are the technology aspects, strategy, finance, marketing, all of the things that you learn in an MBA or a business school. And in reality, companies spend about 90% of their time on the SMART side of the business. But for people to want to stay, the company has to be healthy as well. And we're not talking about financially healthy, we're talking about the people side of it. There need to be minimal politics, minimal confusion among the employees, high morale, high productivity, and very low turnover. Companies typically spend around 10% on this side of it. The problem is 85% of our success comes from the healthy side of the business. You can have a great structure and lousy people, and you're going to lose people. Now, as we think about building a healthy organization, it really does affect how we hire people. Typically, there's an empty position. We write a job specification, we give it to HR, and they recruit, mostly for knowledge and skill. The problem becomes 6 months later or whatever, that we see an attitude or habits that don't conform to our vision or our values in an organization, and we fire them or they leave. What's needed is a balanced approach to a comprehensive hire: knowledge, attitude, skill, and habits. The more we understand how to bring all of that together when we hire people, the less likely it is they're going to be looking for another job. Now, assuming we're hiring the right people, we need to understand what they think when they come to work for us. Anybody taking a job these days is asking subconsciously these three questions. The first one is, are you going to help me? I need to have a family budget. I need health benefits and retirement. Is this a career place for me that's going to help me become what I want to be? Two is, will you get to know me as a person? Am I just going to be a cog on your wheel, or are you going to really care about me? And then third, probably the most important, is, can I trust you? This is all about our personal character as leaders. Are you the kind of person that I believe in? You schedule an appointment or a meeting every week at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you never show up until 10:15. You're telling us two things. One, that your word's no good, and that two, our time isn't valuable to you. We need to keep these things in mind as we think about our individual employees. And here is really the bottom line that we need to pay attention to. People leave managers, they don't leave the companies. There's a lot of studies and research. Gallup does this report that basically indicates 50 to 70% of every American that's left a job, they left because of their manager. And that the manager, or the person leading them, accounts for 70% of whether they're engaged at work or not. Our real job is to create an environment that if they like their job and they're engaged, they're not going to be interviewing somewhere else because they love the culture. Communication is a real problem. When people do leave and they do tell people why they've left, communication is the most often cited. Not recognizing achievements, not giving clear direction, not having time to meet with the employee, refusing to talk to the subordinate, taking credit for their work, and a couple others. Obviously, the more we communicate, the more we have a personal relationship in a professional way with these people, the more likely the good ones are going to stay. Another critical component to building a healthy organization is that sometimes we recruit or promote a person into leadership that doesn't have the capabilities. Two examples here. One, they were good at their prior job. We take our top performer, and we put them in charge of people on the assumption they're going to get the people to do what they did, right? What if they don't have the skill to be a leader? What if they're better in a silo by themselves? And then two, they've got longevity with the company. The guy's been on the production line for 35 years. Doesn't he deserve a promotion by now? Yeah, but what's he been doing for the last 35 years to learn leadership and motivate people? Maybe he isn't qualified. We have to think these things through before we promote people. What about the managers that are already in the seats? Well, unfortunately, 88% of people in management, according to all of these surveys, don't have the basic 5 skills required to lead people in an effective manner. The skills are basically the ability to motivate people to work for them, not micromanage these people, but motivate them. They're proactive in overcoming obstacles. They're always looking ahead to see how they can make the system more efficient and better for people. They develop a culture where everyone is accountable, including themselves. When the team takes a hit, they take the hit with it. They have great relationships on a professional level with their employees, and they make objective decisions that are what's best for the team, that they put the team first, and that builds trust in your team members. So we've talked about the hiring practice. We've talked about what the employees are thinking when they're working for us. We've talked about the struggles in quality management and all of that. What does this mean to us in a financial way? Well, let's do some basic math. There are 3 components, and the first one is reduced productivity before they quit or are fired. Think of it this way. Employee number 47 is supposed to be producing 100 of whatever's you measure over whatever time frame you want. And when that starts slipping to 95 and 90 and 85 and 70, you're instantly in the red. And if you don't calculate that cost of his morale going down or his engagement slipping, you're missing the picture. And then when they get fired or quit, you have to post the job. This is where everybody kind of steps into the calculation. Interview the new candidates, get them on board, get them trained. And then third, getting their production ramped up. That's expensive. In most cases, we're looking at 75% to 125% of annual wages for an hourly employee and 150 to 200% for an annual salary person. Here's an example. A $50,000 salary at 2 times cost to replace them is $100,000. Ask yourself how many people you lost last year. That's money that should have stayed in your bottom line. So how are we solving this problem? Well, we take a 2-pronged approach with our clients. The first is to help you get your leadership team on the same page. Think of the translation issues between a Mac environment and a PC environment. They're both doing similar things, but they're different languages, aren't they? We need to get everybody on the same shared vision, the same operating language, and the same behaviors. Then we need to understand that there are at least 5 levels of leadership where people are going to engage with us or not. The first one is position. It's your title. It really means the least of any of it. You're the new supervisor, great. Yesterday you were my cellmate in the cubicle. Doesn't mean I'm following you. Level 2 is where we start building relationships with these people and start building trust, and they know, like, and trust that you have their back and you're going to help them win. starting to get permission to lead them. Then you begin producing at level 3, where together we're getting accomplishments and we're celebrating the wins. 4, I'm actually able to identify someone that I'm working with and help them develop their leadership skills. And then pinnacle, level 5, is what's called respect. Everybody in the company respects you because of what you've done repeatedly for the company. And then the second approach is to focus on organizational health in an intentional way. We need to create clarity around the vision and values and over-communicate those values and vision every day. We need to be able to analyze your people and let the bad ones go early. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but a bad employee costs you more than an empty seat sometimes. And then we like to recommend stay interviews. A stay interview is not a performance review. It's really a research project on your behalf, on your part, to sit down with your employee and say, hey, how can we make this job better for you? What is it you need? And take that back and put it into your strategic plan and see if you can improve the overall system. And then finally, we need to hire slower. We need to slow the process way down and make sure that when we do hire people, we're looking not only just at their strengths, or skills and knowledge, but strengths and attitude. So to wrap this up, if this is an issue that you're wrestling with in your company, I'd simply like to have a conversation where we go sit somewhere, turn off the phones, let you tell me your story. In my experience, we've been able to identify a couple of rocks that might be in your path and help you start turning this ship around. Thank you so much again for your time.